how's it going? My name is Morgan Gattermeyer, and welcome to today's Live Art Mini. While we wait for all those who are going to watch us today, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in today. We're going to be making some fused glass today. I'm very excited in honor of the 4th of July. I also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Symmetry Gallery. Thank you guys so much for supporting us, and yeah. So today we are going to be making a red, white, and blue bowl with glass. And when we start with our glass, it always starts with an idea. And we always do that idea on paper. So here's the idea I came up with. We use just regular printer paper, and then we used a compass to do the circle in the same shape and same size as the piece of glass that we're making. And then I choose the colors that I'm going to use, and I was thinking the flag, so we did red, white, and blue. And then when that's finished, we gather up all of our materials, and we have a bunch of different materials that we use when we're making glass. And I came up with a little wrap for that. So I will do the wrap, and then later I will also in-depth explain each and every utensil that I'm going to show you. Scorers, runners, chippers galore. So many utensils for us to explore. Scorers are used to scrape glass in a specific way. Runners are used to break that single piece of glass away. One last thing, and that's what's up. Chippers are there to break little glass up. And I just want to say hello and thank you to Kathleen Kathleen Honeycutt, who is watching on our stream today. So hello to you. She's an artist here on Fridays. Now, let's make some fused glass. So, let's start by cutting some red. So, we take big sheets of glass like this for when you're going to make bigger cuts of glass. And I have a glass cutting board in front of me, measured at 1/2 inch, which is the exact size that I need for the smaller pieces of glass. On this stand piece that I made here. So the 1/2 inch is what these smaller cuts are here. So you slide it in, and this is a stopper, and it's how you measure out the glass. And then I'm going to take the scoring tool, which is not sharp at all. It is specifically for scraping glass. And you can also use a marker, which is a Crayola marker, which is water-based, if you are going to mark where you're going to cut if you don't have a glass cutting board.
Morgan, I'm going to say you got a big hi from a Timothy Garrett. You know a Timothy Garrett?
Well, hello there, Timothy Garrett. How are you? Thank you for tuning in today. So, slide this in, make sure it hits the stopper, and then you're going to take your scoring tool, and you're going to start at the top. Press down. It's going to sound like you're scraping like nails on a chalkboard. That's the sound you want. Oop, that didn't work. Just like that. And then you're going to get a line just like that. That is where you're then going to use your runners. And you're going to line up on that line. And you're just going to squeeze it. And we have a 1/2 inch We have a 1/2 inch strip of red. So let's make another one. Again, line it up. Bring this here to the top. Press down. Nails on a chalkboard. You hear that, you know you did it right. And then take your runners. Break it off. We're going to do this once more. Might not come out the right way. And you know what? Sometimes these don't come out the right way every time. Like that. That's okay. You've got plenty more glass to work with. Now I'm going to take my chippers, line it up on the same line that I used with my scoring tool. And break off that extra piece. And then we try it again. Nails on a chalkboard. Runners. Squeeze. So I think you guys have the idea of what it is that these utensils are. And I'd like to show you some of the other glass that I have made. This is sturdy. It didn't break. Oh my gosh. This is a stand piece that I made of a flower. And this is, am I right?
We're all good.
These are wind chime. This is a wind chime I made. Piano and some music notes.
Yeah. So, are you gonna outline it in white? Or what is it? Yeah. White and then black top.
And then this is another stand piece I made with an effect called the Dada effect. The Dada effect is when you don't have a specific design. It's where you would just, in this case I took paper, cut out in the different size circles, and I dropped them on the glass, and that's where that piece of glass, that's where that circle went. And it came out like this. And then I would like to show, so the piece that I had made earlier this week, which is what our bowl is going to be looking like. is this. As you can see, we have thinner strips down here. Those are the 1/2 inch. And then our bigger strips up here are 1 inch, 1.5 inches.
About 1.25 inches.
About 1.25 inches.
Go halvesies on that.
Go halvesies. And then these little guys scattered here are called millifuries. Millifuries are small pieces of glass that some have designs in them, like these have stars. And it just is a little bit extra for the piece of glass, which is pretty neat. When we're gluing our pieces of glass, we're going to start with a clear base. We always start with a base of some sort, and this is an 8-inch circle. And then we use watered down Elmer's glue because it's water-based. So we use this, and then when it goes in the kiln, it evaporates. Just like with the marker, if we need to mark something and there's still a little bit of marker on it after it's glued, it'll evaporate in the kiln. So that's that.
Very nice, Morgan. Thank you for sharing all that with us
Thank
today.
you.
Hey.
And now I'm gonna send it off to Stephen.
All right. Yes, I want a big, if I could, I would give a big heart like for Morgan. I wanted to give her a shout out in the studio here. Because she wanted to fly solo and do the lesson herself. Morgan's one of our amazing artists at the studio, but also she's been a teacher in many of our fused glass classes. So
That's true. That's where I came up with the wrap that I did for you guys earlier today.
that's right. And I hear you got a big shout out for your fused glass Suncatcher of the keyboard and all the notes from Kathleen. She loves it. So thank you,
Awesome.
Kathleen, for that.
Thank you,
compliment.
Kathleen. Yes.
Yep, so those art classes, unfortunately COVID-19 shut down the community art classes, but we hope to get those up and running again. I'm sure you would love to get back into it.
Teaching has been amazing. Working at the studio is amazing, but getting to share with others who aren't experienced in a specific thing of art and them wanting to learn about it, it's very, very fun.
Yeah, and then the fused glass is cool too, because not a lot of places around this area offer that, so it's kind of unique for the art studio. We definitely want to share that with others.
Yes.
Then I'll say, Morgan, since I got you on the camera,
Yes.
what is your favorite part about coming to InsideOut Studio?
There are so many, but I'd have to say my favorite thing about coming to the studio is the environment. Being around all the other artists here, being able to be creative, let your creativity show, it's absolutely amazing. And on that, can I share my favorite thing about fused glass?
Sure.
My favorite thing about fused glass is being able to see the product that you make before it goes into the kiln, and then what it looks like when it comes out of the kiln. The before and after, because it's so unique, it's so cool to see how the glass goes from being choppy and blocky to nice and smooth.
I like choppy and blocky. You're good with the rhymes. So that's a good transition too. This wasn't planned at all, but I'm bringing you some of the fused glass techniques that we use in the kiln. So the ladies that did the Suncatchers last week, we're going to show you what they look like after they've been fused. I'm also going to give you some knowledge about what fusing is, how hot the temperature gets in the kiln to make that glass really meld and melt together. And then we also want to give another big shout out to Symmetry Gallery. We actually have the commercial to show to you again, so you can check out what Sherry's got in store for you over at Symmetry in Fairfield.
Hi, I'm Sherry. I'm here at Symmetry Boutique and Gallery. I'm happy to see you all and hoping you'll come and see us. We've been here since 2002, and we started out as Art on Sims and changed our name 3 years ago to Symmetry Boutique and Gallery. I want to show you our most popular item. Now that lots of us are staying at home enjoying our gardens, this is called a peace pole, and we have any number of them on our website, Symmetry Boutique and gallery.com, and you can purchase them there, or you can come into the store. This is our most popular one, and it's used a lot of times as a sympathy gift. It says, "Those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day." And it's easy to install. This pokes into the ground, and this goes over it. Hope you enjoyed this. Come see us.
Thank you, Sherry Armstead. Go check out and see what she has in store for you at Symmetry Gallery in Fairfield. So let me pull up some images here. Last week, you met Christina, Josephine, and Megan. They were working on their 4th of July themed Patriotic Suncatchers. So first I'm going to show you Megan Hill. So if you remember, Megan was working with the designer liner. You've used that in the past year.
Yeah.
Good for all of our artists that love drawing. I'm going to pause because Dwayne Sparks is out there watching. Hey, Dwayne!
Hey!
Hi, Dwayne!
Hey, Dwayne!
And Jean, if you're with him. So we got Megan Hill's Patriotic Suncatcher here. You can see it's been fused in the kiln, and that designer liner has been sandwiched and set in that fused glass permanently. And you can still see some texture into it. What we did is we took this to a contour fuse. And I'm just going to show you briefly what that means in a second here. And this is Christina's Star, Patriotic Star Suncatcher as well. You'll notice that there's a little bit of difference between the ones you see on the right and the left. The one on the right was a contour fuse, and the one on the left was a tack fuse. So you can notice there that the light is kind of shining off of it a little bit more, and there's some more texture to it. So if we're looking at some terminology here, a tack fuse is when you take the glass into the kiln, and the temperature is usually between 1280 and 1320 degrees. So that's even quite hot.
Oh, very hot.
But it's one of our lowest fusing temperatures. So the quality you get with tack fusing some glass is it's heated to the point where the glass attaches itself, the top layer to the bottom layer, but it doesn't really melt. So you can still have some rough edges, you can still have some sharp edges to it. What makes it really good is if you're trying to do imagery. So let's say you're trying to do even like a face, a landscape, or a picture that you're trying to put together, kind of like stained glass. You would tack fuse it. It would retain the glass and not melt as much. Because once you start melting, that's when you start to lose control of what's going to happen and where that glass is going to kind of shift to. The most ideal setting for a tack fuse is for things like stand pieces. Like I said, something realistic. A nice art piece, night lights, and sun catchers. I'm going to bring back this picture here of Christina's Star. What makes it nice for a sun catcher like this, as well as a night light, is all those little pieces of glass retain their form, so the light refracts and kind of gives a nice little reflection off of each piece. So that's really cool to have it in your window with the light shining through it.
It can hit different ways and hit different parts of the wall, and
Exactly.
it's very, very pretty.
Exactly. It's always hard to photograph glass, so I've got a second view here. You can see that the tack fuse is on the far side to the left, and the contour fuse on the right. It's a little bit more melted. It's like you want your cheese extra done on your pizza. Something like that.
Something along those lines, yes.
So that was a tack fuse, is one of our lower settings. The contour fuse, the one that was on the right there, it's heated up a little bit higher. You can see the 1360 to 1400 degree range. It's only about 40-50 degrees hotter, but it makes a world of a difference visually. So it starts to round off those edges and really melt that top layer of glass into the bottom layer. So this is good, once again, if you're doing something representational like an image or a logo. It's fine for a night light or a sun catcher. You can also start to do what are called slumped items. So if you're turning your fused glass into a bowl, like Morgan's going to do with her fused piece, you can still have a slump to it, so it has a slight texture, but not something so sharp or so textured that you'd like nick yourself on.
Right.
So that's our contour. That's kind of like a middle of the road. We're going to jump to a picture of Josephine. Josephine was doing this patriotic themed soap dish. So this was a contour fuse. You can still see the light reflecting off each individual piece of glass that she used to construct hers. And then one other that you didn't see last week was created by Tracy Miracle, who's in the studio with us today, but he made the promotional Patriotic Suncatcher for our live art minis these past 2 weeks. So here is his flag, Suncatcher. And if you like, I'm just going to be shameless and say, if you like any of the Suncatchers and or soap dish and or Morgan's piece she's working on, feel free to make a comment about that. I'm sure Kim's going to be putting it into our online store here soon. Even if the 4th is passed, you can still make that purchase because it comes down every year. So look for our online store link in the comments section there.
Now you're going to show the slumps.
I am going to show the slumps.
Okay.
I haven't even got to the full views yet. So here's a top view of Josephine's. And now I'm getting to the full views. I like doing this so much better with artists in the studio. It's not all on me just to entertain people out there. And honestly, my planned jokes aren't as good as the ones that come off the top of our heads.
Right off the cuff.
Yes. So our last fusing level, our last fusing level that we're looking at today is called a full fuse. And it is what it sounds like. Those two sheets of glass fully fuse into each other, creating one solid piece of glass melted all the way. So this is great if you're going to do a bowl, a plate, anything that's going to be slumped and turned into something usable. There's no cracks or crevices where food particles could get stuck in or candy can get stuck in if you're using it for that matter. And then lastly is what we call a slump firing. So slumping isn't fusing. It's taken to a much lower temperature. It's only going up to about 1230 degrees. And this is heating the glass up. As Morgan mentioned earlier, when you fuse the glass and you're going to turn it into something like a bowl, you need a second firing. So it goes back into the kiln, lower temperature, and sits into a high fire porcelain mold and just slumps into that shape. I like the sound, slump. Slumps. So I'm going to show you, we're going to cut back to Morgan and I'm going to show you some slump molds. So this would be a nice geometric plate. So the glass would sit kind of flush on top. I'm going to steal Morgan's piece of clear here. It's not the right shape at all.
No.
You'll get the idea. So once the design is created, fused the first time around in the kiln, it sets on this in the kiln, and then this has a protective coating on the surface of it. All of our kiln shelves have what's called high fire paper. It keeps the glass, when it liquefies and melts into itself, it won't stick to the kiln shelf. It'll come right off. So that glass would sit right on top of the slump mold. We take it up to about 1230 degrees. At that point, the glass anneals to the point where it's just bending. It's not going to melt. It's not going to pull down. It's just going to bend into the shape, and the slump mold's going to catch it and create that shape as well. We've got a couple others to share with you. I got a question. We've got a question from Kathleen. Can you mix the two fusings together? Yes and no. You can fuse something to a full fuse and then maybe attach it to a stand piece that's going to be tacked fused if you're trying to mosaic a complicated design like that. That's something we've never done. So I'm going to turn around. Kathleen, I'm going to challenge you to create a mixed fused piece the next time you're here, if you want to. So other molds we have something as simple as a soap dish. We've got some newer molds that we've been experimenting with, and these are floral designs. So the glass will sit, and you kind of create a free-form design. It's not just a circle, it's not just a square. You can actually make some floral shapes, and this is after they've been molded. We've got some cool new glass flowers. I think we're going to try to attach a little metal rod to the back. They could be some nice garden ornaments. We always like to experiment, try some new things. Here's another piece done by Jody Mann. This was actually from Joe Shell. Remember Joe Shell from last week? She created this flower. Jody Mann created this one. It has some nice dimension to it, three-dimensional piece after it's been slumped in the kiln. All right. Anything to add to slumping and fusing, Miss Morgan?
I think he covered it.
All right.
The colors of your glass won't mix. Like if it were paint, it could mix.
Yep.
The colors on the glass, it's a solid and it's just melting, so they won't fuse together and make a new color. Mm-hmm. It'll look layered.
Correct. Yeah, if you want to bring your sample piece over, we can give them a visual on that. So as Morgan was saying, they're not gonna mix into each other and they're not gonna mold into each other. So when we fuse this, even if we took it up to a full fuse where the glass literally starts to melt together into one solid sheet, these would still stay in lines. They're kind of like staying in their own lane. They're not invading each other's space. And these little Millefiores,
They just melt in place as well.
you see those little stars on there. Those just melt in place. If you take it up to a full fuse, they will spread out a little bit more, but they'll still retain their star shape. Any other, that was a good addition. So,
Thank you.
anything else?
I don't think so. I think that was it.
All right. We're going to pause once again, give a big shout out to Symmetry Gallery, and then introduce you to Miss Liz Pfeiffer, who's working on a very, very large commissioned piece of glass. So a big thank you to Sherry Armstead from Symmetry Gallery and Boutique in Fairfield. Let's just go over to this cam here. Before we do, we have I'm going to switch it back to you real quick, Mark. We've got a lot of switches going on today. And Megan McCracken, you know Megan McCracken?
I do know a Megan McCracken.
Megan McCracken is watching. I want you to
Hi,
know.
Megan.
Got a big hi for you.
Thank you for tuning in.
Big hi right back to you, Megan.
Yeah.
So if Sherry Armstead is watching from Symmetry Gallery,
Well, hi, Sherry.
she had a commission to do. I'm not sure if she is watching, but so she had a very large sculptural piece that was unfortunately damaged in a windstorm. So she needed a big piece of glass to replace part of it. So we put Miss Liz Pfeiffer, one of our amazing artists, here to the task. Liz, you are live on Facebook right now. Would you like to tell everyone about your piece, maybe how you started with your design and how you came up with the idea?
I noticed there's some metal work that had some like a fluid work like that was attached to the skin, so I decided to make the glass piece of flowing designs in it, so it has a lot of swirls in it and stuff. I have a picture here that's kind of like something like this.
And I've got a picture of that as well. We can just put it up on the screen. You can continue to talk to everyone while we're showing that as well.
So yeah, it's gonna have various colors in with the swirls, but it's mainly gonna have the main colors going in each different category. So it's gonna be a mixture of the colors, and that's kind of a mosaic of glass.
Very cool. And I know Liz is pretty far from the mic. If you didn't hear it, she's doing what's called a mosaic style with those fused glass. She's been chipping away at all those pieces, and she's got a design nice turquoise, yellow, and red. And she's also intermingling those colors together. And she's got her scoring tool. She's got her chippers. And she is cutting up her own pieces for a mosaic. We've got a big hello to Jennifer Nye watching out there. She's a big supporter of the studio. Thanks for tuning in today.
Hi, Jennifer.
Liz, how do you feel about doing the largest single piece of fused glass we've ever done in history?
Excited. Excited.
No pressure, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
You are fully capable. This is looking amazing.
Yeah, and looking forward to all the paintings.
Yeah. We can't wait to see it when it is complete and fused in the kiln.
Yep.
All right, with that, we're coming up to our half hour, so we'd like to say a big thank you for tuning in today. I hope it was informative. You learned a little bit about how the glass is fused in the kiln, the different temperatures that we could take it up to, and the different effects that you can get. And you got to see firsthand Morgan and Liz working on some pieces. Morgan, you want to say any farewells for the holiday weekend?
I do. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I hope everyone has an awesome 4th of July. Don't get sunburned. Stay cool. But have a great 4th of July. You guys all deserve it. Thank you so much for tuning in again. And yeah, this is me signing off.
Happy holiday weekend. Be safe out there. Terry, you want to say a goodbye? Come here, Terry. All right, let's see what everyone else in the studio is working on today. We're going to send it out. So everyone, you guys are on camera right now. We've got Mary, Shannon, Devin, Tracy, and Nadia. Everyone is hard at work in the studio today. Some are working on some 4th of July themed pieces. We're all getting ready for a holiday weekend. Tracy, you want to say a big goodbye to everyone before we send it out?
It was Bye. Say bye. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.